Hello everyone, this is Shadow Dragon back with another episode of DC Universe Online. So I just wanted to do a follow-up of the Wonderverse open world and how I kind of approached all of the rewards in the vendor, as well as different types of runs through the daily/weekly. So first, just a quick review about how things work in Wonderverse. There are two currency rewards. There's Splintered Coins, which works just like any other episode, where you're using that to buy like the main set of armor. And then what's different about Wonderverse is there's a side currency called Empyrean Aether. And these are like, this is the ungated unlimited runs where you don't need replays. You could just play as much as you want and keep on farming these coins. So that's the part that really makes Wonderverse a bit different. It sort of makes it like an unlimited grind because of this. But I'm going to get into that when we look at the vendor. Okay, so for the Aethers, it's basically the open world boss rewards. And it's a series of 4 bosses plus a bonus unlock if you win all 4. So for each boss, you get 6 of these Aethers. So that would give you 24 if you defeat all 4. And the bonus boss, which is the Hydra, gives you 12. So a single run, which is a fixed 30 minutes, because it is timed. So that's another thing different. There is a fixed schedule. So like the first boss, which is Merc, will appear at the 1 minute and 31 minute of the hour, and it's just like that for every hour. So every 5 minutes it's a different boss. It's at the 1, and then at the 6 you get another boss, then at the 11 and 16 and then 21, and longer break at the end. So a single run will get you 36. On a doubles weekend or doubles week bonus, you would get 72. If you have one augment that's level 3, you get a bonus for each boss. So that would put you at 41, or 82 if it's a doubles week. Now if you have 2 augments at level 3, so that kind of tells you to put the augments at level 3 first, instead of like maxing one out before the other. You do want to level them evenly. So if you have 2 at level 3, you're going to get 2 per boss, 2 extra per boss. That would put you at 46, or 92 for a doubles week. So that gives you an idea of what you would earn every 30 minutes on a successful run. Now if you do some damage to the boss, you participate a little bit, and you don't win, you get half the rewards. So that would be 3 per boss, or 6 for the Hydra. And if you fail on one boss, you don't get the Hydra. So normal run without augments, you get 36 or lower if you failed something. But yeah, it's better than 0. Okay, so let's go to Patchwork Themyscira and we'll look at the vendor. So with this being an unlimited run, like people are just farming this non-stop, and looking at the vendor will sort of give you an idea of the pace. That's the soda person. This is generally the Aether vendor. You can't get any of this stuff if you're below the CR for it. Or you can't get most of it. Like you won't be able to get like these catalysts or the base mods. But the catalysts are for the episode augments above level 11. What sucks about this is you can't get these and then pass it to like your main. Like it won't even let you buy them. So your vendor request failed. But these drop in content as well. The fact that they're in the vendor, though, tells me that the content drops are lower than previous episodes, which is kind of the way I feel. But this is kind of a good Aether sink if if like later on you have nothing to spend it on, you might as well throw it into these, because you're not going to duplicate the base vendors or like the gear style or anything like that. I went for these first, the base mods, because they don't increase your CR, and I didn't want to get knocked out of Metal 2 relevancy. So I spent on all these first. There's a feat for, I think, buying 1 and then buying 12, which maxes out your generator. These are the 3 OP catalysts. I'm not quite at these yet. I think I'm at the first level of this, but like I farmed it enough that I bought these 2 ahead of time. So won't be using those for a couple of months, but had to dump the Aethers on something. Okay, and then we've got the enhanced set of gear. This in normal recent episodes was a member style only drop. So instead of getting that as a drop now you have to farm it. So they kind of artificially made that a longer grind, and they just added it to the Aether sink. And these have stats now, so you like attune them as normal. But what I noticed here, and it doesn't note this anywhere, is these are a higher level modifier than any other drop. Because normally you have like the greens, blues, purples, and capsules, which are, it's like an item level plus 1, 2, 3, and 5 respectively. I think these are like 10, because these like increase these attune like really high, higher than the other drops. So keep that in mind if you're trying to control your CR in some way. One of the other changes in this episode was they added the elite non-style items to the Aether vendor. Now for these items, as well as the enhanced gear, you're paying 2 streams of income. You're paying the Aethers and you're paying the splintered coins. So that could factor in on what you want to spend first. Because as you're farming this, your splintered coins, unless you're resetting a lot, your splintered coins are going to accumulate at the same rate as any other episode. But the Aethers, again, will be unlimited, depending on how much you farm the bounties. In most cases, your Aethers will far exceed your splintered coins. So that factored in when I was spending here. Like I went ahead and got the things that did not use up the coins yet. At first there were no feats for these elite items, but then they went in and added them. So there's a feat for the neck, there's a feat for 2 rings, and there's a feat for 1 weapon. And these do get discounted once you get those feats. And then as we scroll down, yeah, that pretty much does it. So this will give you an idea of what to farm. These are pretty hefty prices, but like like with bonus weekends and just with people doing the unlimited farm, these actually come pretty quickly. Everything in this vendor does actually. Like in hindsight, I felt like I over farmed this like too fast, and compared to the rest of the community, I actually did it probably at half the speed or even less, because like some people completed this vendor like within the first week. Moving on to the other vendor, this is like the lower level one. So the purple gear here is the regular set, the unenhanced one. These also drop in content, so there's no need to buy these unless you're at the end of the DLC and you're just finishing missing pieces. So I don't recommend you buy any of these. But if you're at a much lower level and you're not going to reach T10 anytime soon, this is going to have to be like you would have to spend here if your coins are too high. But in general, like, you probably wouldn't buy any of these unless you're in a rush. And this is the Elite vendor, so you will need the Renown to buy any of this stuff. So the weapons and jewelry are no longer here. It's just the gear style. The gear plus the style. Ferdinand the Kythator is the regular vendor. So this is what you would see, pretty much the same as any other episode. What doesn't really make sense is I can't find a scenario where you would buy the normal weapons and jewelry, because you're going to get the Elite much earlier. There's no reason to get any of these. So I don't know, like when you make an interactive interface like this, this is like a wrong path. Like this shouldn't exist in my opinion. I guess unless you're collecting these styles. Oh, by the way, the Elite styles are the artifact weapons from Halls of Power. The Halls of Power raids that rarely dropped, so they're probably very new styles for everyone, for most people. So yeah, this has like the usual stuff that you would see in the regular vendor. So I think like a normal safe rate to run this is like if you did like the bounty run to cover your dailies for 30 minutes, and I would say just one extra one per day would get you what you need, like with, you know, by the end of the life of the DLC. You can easily rush this stuff. The princess. Like you get carried away, you keep looping around the bounty ring, and you end up farming these within a few weeks and you have nothing else to buy. They didn't do the vendor editions yet. They're still deciding, mentioned on the forums, whether they're going to put it all for splintered coins or if they're going to put some of it for the Aethers. Okay, that's pretty much it for the important information. So if you're just starting out in Wonderverse, stay tuned and I'll take you quickly through the path that I take. But otherwise, that's all the important stuff. Okay, so the bounty run starts with Flashpoint Atlantean. So according to the bounty schedule, and you will want to coordinate with the bounty schedule because that way you're kind of multitasking. By waiting around and doing the bounty fights, you are going to get usually enough ads to fulfill the daily. So in each of these zones, the counter is 30. Conqueror Counter-Strike is the bosses, the weekly. So you do get a splintered coin payout for defeating one boss, at least one. And then you have to unlock the Hydra once and get that. So 2 weeklies. I think that's less than previous DLCs because there's no like a bonus. There's no 5-day bonus for any of these others. Okay, so keeping all that in mind, you would start here, like maybe just before the hour begins, because that way you have a few minutes to kind of find your phase, find a phase that has enough people to do this. And also, like while you're waiting, you can do some of these dailies. And in each zone there is some sort of counter for a feat. Like in this case, there's these turrets on the boats. So when you're first starting out Wonderverse, you're going to want to hit those nodes first. Then what you do is you fight Merc here on the 1 minute and 31 minute. That's when he spawns. And while you're doing him, there's going to be a lot of ads, and as you take out the ads, or as your group takes out the ads, you're going to get credit for those towards your 30 for the day. And I think it definitely credits more than just the group. Some of the activities might be adjacent as well, because I mean, I noticed that I'm ungrouped and I'm completing the daily quest, and I'm certainly not killing 30 of them. I'm not going to actually do this, so that way I don't spend 30 minutes on this. But these teleports conveniently take you to the next one. So after you finish Merc and you have your 30, you go to Ares. The Ares battle, I find, doesn't always get the 30. Because the nodes that appear in the battlefield area kind of clear out when Ares spawns. And he just has like 4 mini bosses next to him. But not a whole lot of ads. So what I do after Merc is I come to this area, and then I'll do like the nodes nearby. My favorite ones are the ones up here where you get like the Harpy or Cockatrice, because there's going to be one enemy, so you get 1 point for that. And then you save an Amazon, so that's 2 points. And then after that you wait a few seconds, and there's going to be 1 to 3 eggs that spawn, so you bust those for 4 points, so that the total is 4. Sometimes there's 1 egg, so you could be getting 3. Sometimes there's 3 eggs, but the issue here is if there are 3 eggs, you only have time to get 2. So I don't know what the point of them putting 3 eggs there was. Yeah, so that's for the daily counter. If you don't want the Ares daily, the other thing you could do is before the Ares fight, you rush over to this room here, because there's a feat counter in there for supplying these invisible planes. So whenever you supply one of these planes, it sends healing barrels to whichever boss fight is active at the time. There's a feat for supplying each boss fight, and then there's also a feat counter for this. I think it's like 50. So what you do is you like interact with this NPC, and then you just hold off the ads for a while. This might be a bug, but if you have super strength, you can actually carry that box before the allied NPC gets to it, and that kind of speeds up this room. I actually have this feat on the characters that I play the most already, but the thing is, I still do this room because it's a great way to up the Olympian counter. This goes towards the 30 for Olympus / Athena, the Athena zone. So if you needed to work this one, like what I do is I do this one after before and after Ares, just because Ares is the closest to it. And then I do it before the Hydra sometimes if the Apocalyptian bosses finish quickly.
And they're off. You did it. Wow.
And the number of ads that spawn depends on like the number of people that are in the vicinity. Like if you're just by yourself and there's no one nearby, you'll probably get like 13 to 17. If there are like 2 people, you could likely get the 30 right there. Okay, so I wanted to go back to the Ares teleporter, because if we didn't take that tangent off to the plains, what you do is you finish off your dailies here, you fight Ares. If you have the plane feat, you could skip going back there again, taking that tangent again. So on a normal daily run, you would just go straight to Olympian. For this one, this also has a slightly longer wait between when you get the warning and when the boss actually comes out. So for the Olympian zone, you don't actually have to go out and get the ads too much, because there are a lot of ads during the boss fight that count towards the 30. So this one you can go straight to the boss area and just wait and just do stuff around this this square here. Okay, so after Athena and the 30 counter for the Olympian zone, we go off to Apocalyptian Invasion. What you want to do here is grab these fire pots, the Greek fire, and take them to the cannons, because there's a counter for doing these. And you should get this like within a few days. I think the counter is just 30. And I believe that involves carrying it over and then interacting with it. It's not actually blowing up a cannon, which takes 3. So this one does happen pretty quickly. Once you complete the feat, you don't want to do this one for your daily, because it's not the most efficient. It's only 2 points total, and if you consider the time it takes to carry it over and then interact, you're better off doing like these nodes here, or the boss fight in the Apocalyptian area. It is the most ad heavy one. If you do this boss fight, like no matter how many number of people are involved, you're likely going to get the 30 for this zone. Okay, so once you do that, this is typically a faster fight. There's 2 bosses, but their health is like split so that it's somewhat equivalent to like an Athena or a Merc. You just have to be careful of the combined skull attacks, because like, you know, they don't do it at the same time, but they hit in different ways. So as you're fighting one, you have to be aware of the other guy in the background. But otherwise, this fight tends to go fast, and then like after you defeat Steppenwolf and Calabac, you do get Orion appearing. There's no reward for Orion other than the rare mother box, but there is a counter for him. So after Orion, typically there will be a little bit more time. Like what I do is I go back to the mission hub, then I go to this Ares zone again, and I'll take this tangent and do another set of planes. So as I'm farming the plane feat, I'm doing it 3 times within the bounty run. Okay, so after that I would just come back here, and then you go to the Hydra. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the bounty run. And obviously if you had all feats, you would just skip all those tangents that I mentioned. But yeah, I hope this schedule helps you out, and thanks for watching.